button done up.
I'm very relaxed, as you can tell. I've been stretching. What have you got in your coffee cup?
Oh, just tea.
Tea.
I didn't think it would be the most appropriate thing to come on with a whiskey or a beer or something.
Max, put it away, mate.
No,
You might be the only one to do something.
no, it's definitely not like me usually, but I thought, well,
No, I'll be
if
sober
I start
with you, mate. I've got to go back to work after this one.
yeah, I've just been out doing some. The fruit season starting down here on the farm, so I've just been cleaning up the shop. And my uncle is a great, beautiful man, but he's an absolute terrible hoarder. And I was just throwing out years of stuff he's collected, and I'm like, why do we need 6 telephones? So that's been my afternoon. It's been good.
You got like a Nokia 8210 or whatever it is, and
yeah. No, was it 3310? They were the ones. You could not break them. Couldn't break
That was
them.
the first one with Snake. It's probably all you need, mate. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Kids these days, we need to go back in time a bit, I think.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I saw a meme that said, imagine if you were locked down with a Nokia 3210. I was like, in my head, and everyone's like laughing. I'm like, I think it'd be better.
I think you'd be all right.
I think it'd be better. There'd be no social media. So all you get is the information on your TV. You'd watch your news of a night and go, cool, I've got to do this. And then during the day, you'd probably actually
Play Snake.
talk to your family. You play Snake
Play
and talk to
16
your
hours of
family.
Snake a day.
That's right. Exactly.
how'd you go after that workout, Nick? That sounded the Remembrance Day workout.
I really think you owe everybody an apology for that workout. It was just, I went so bad at it. Hey, I love CrossFit and I love all that stuff. I'm not good at it. It's just something I like to do. And but all the guys I did it with, we all just grossly underestimated how hard it would be and how long it would take. And look, I honestly, I'm ashamed to say this, but I only got like 3 rounds in, and we had to pull the pin because there was another class starting, and they only got a bit ahead of me, and they're really fit blokes. Man, that was brutal, absolutely brutal. I didn't see any of your guys' online efforts of that one either, but
the times were too quick. It wouldn't have taken up enough social media space. Mate,
I think I put up a video of my time, didn't I? It was 3 hours and 40-something minutes. It was ridiculous. But I mean, I got to about the hour and a half mark, and my heart was gone. I'm like, I've got to finish it because otherwise, I can't really ask other people to do it. But as far as apologies go, mate, not a chance. No apologies.
No, it's definitely a good one. It'd be good to see next year. Hopefully, if you run it again, hopefully get some big CrossFitters on board or something like that, and be good if it became a real thing. It was definitely a cracker. Maybe my suggestion would be personally, perhaps it could be one of those ones that starts at 11 reps and then next round's 10, 9, and so on.
Yeah,
and
so
forth.
we're gonna make a scaled versions for children and chicks, mate. So you can do that one.
Good. Well, I'll be definitely keeping an eye out for that one. So.
I did the thing, and I did it with my missus, and she's mildly, I think she's got idiot strength because she ran up Mount Stewart they did some charity run up Mount Stewart in Townsville, and she got chopped off the hill, full heat stroke, rhabdo, liver failure, doesn't stop. And I'm like, fuck, I have not been in the gym doing this stuff for a while. This is going to suck. And she wouldn't. So we regressed all the weights right back.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 hours, 20 minutes. And I got an hour and a half in, or probably an hour in. I'm like, I'm not going to finish this. How am I going to come up with an excuse?
It was horrendous. And, it was obviously one where we were all like, well, we've kind of got to stop because, there's a business about to happen here, but it sort of felt bad stopping. But I honestly don't think I could have done much more than that. My heart rate goes to about 180 when I walk up the stairs to go into the gym. So I don't know. I train a lot, but I don't seem to really get that much fitter. So I must be doing something wrong. But anyway.
So I had a couple of people texting that said, "Are we getting the Wolfe brothers on the podcast? What do you want to ask them?" And they were like, "There's a list of questions, mate." But there's a couple of crackers. I'll send them through, but just a quick one to start, real quick, as quick as so. 2 people that dead or alive that you would want to have dinner with, and why? Nick, go.
Oh, I need a better answer for this. We get this quite a bit, Tom?
We do.
Man, I don't know. Like,
it's a good, quick answer.
Yeah, I know. It's exactly what you want in a podcast. Silence. Well. Oh man, Tom, help anyone?
I would be going like, I'm all about the Beatles and I'm all about Paul McCartney. So I'd be like, can I have a nice vegetarian meal with you, Mr. Paul McCartney? But then I'd like to probably just get my dad back from the dead for the night, just to make him eat a steak.
Yeah,
that would be.
Dad would be good. That would be a very good one. But in terms of a celebrity sort of thing, I wouldn't mind to have tea with the old James Hetfield from Metallica. That'd be a pretty solid one, I reckon. He's been a big influence
that would be good
on us, particularly in our young, angry guitar learning sort of years. So that'd be pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah, nice. What? Because your dad's anniversary was only 23rd of November, wasn't it?
Yeah. Only it was 4 years, which is unbelievable to think. That's 4 years since he went. But I can't speak for Nick, but I think we're both pretty. I feel comfortable to talk about it. I feel good memories of him now. It's not sadness. I mean, you're sad and you miss them, but I think back of him and it's good memories and positive stuff. And I know, so I kind of, I'm in a good place with it, if that makes sense. I sort of think I've gone through the whole grief stage and come out the other end feeling pretty good about it.
Is there stuff because the boys are suffering? There's some boys that are suffering, especially with the suicide rates at the moment in army and loss. Is there stuff that you know now that you wish you knew before that would help you deal, or stuff that like, oh, this is just part of the process?
Yeah, I think it is part of the process. I know I went through a bit of an angry phase, but I think the best thing is really, and it sounds almost might even sound cliche because you hear it so much, is just talking. I actually went and saw a psychologist because I kind of realised that, well, this is going to boil up and become something else, and physically and mentally, I was not looking after myself at all. So I went and saw a psychologist, and that really helped. Really, really helped. And I think I had about 6 sessions, and we just sort of dealt through it over the course of a few months. And that really helped me. That would be my thing. I think you can't hold any of it in. You got to talk to people. You got to get it out. Otherwise, it's going to manifest itself in you as something, whether it's a sickness or a mental illness, or your mind and your body are very connected, I think.
I wish I'd actually sort of got some sort of professional, whatever you did, Tom. Like for me, it's sort of like when he passed away at the time, he had like quite a rapid cancer. It all happened all at once, and we were sort of looking after him, and then, all the stuff, you get his funeral going, and it was all kind of right at that time. And then I guess for me, it wasn't until like a year or so later or something, then I just sort of was like, all kind of hit me at once, and just realised how much I missed him, and how much it was kind of affecting me. And I mean, even now, it's sort of one of those things, every now and again just sort of creeps up on you, and you kind of start thinking about it, and gets to you a bit. But as you say, I think as soon as you talk about it with, we've talked about it, Tom, and more open and stuff you are, it definitely feels like a weight comes off the shoulders. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think it's important, like, instead of going to Karen from Facebook or go to your mates for advice, when your car's broken down, when you rebuild, you crack a head, you're not going to get your mate over who does nothing about cars to help you rebuild that. got to go see a professional. And
yeah. Oh, well, I think, as you say, Karen from Facebook, I think we're forgetting that, there's people that have studied things and are actually experts in certain fields, and maybe Facebook's not the place to answer all your questions. But yeah, it is. It's 100% is talking about it. And it really helped me. And I think what you also learn is when you're doing it is you're also thinking and feeling things you haven't, when you're talking about it, you sort of start answering your own questions. If that makes sense. The time you start putting it out loud, you're like, oh, that makes, it's like little light bulb
it comes together
moments.
and starts making sense when you start saying it out loud.
Absolutely.
I think they're the best. The best psychs are the ones that ask one question really quickly and then just shut up and listen, and you just unload. And then halfway through it, you're like, "Ooh, I think I just solved my own problems."
Yeah. I found I almost found when I went for my first session. I mean, I love to chat, as you can tell, but I even thought, "What am I going to talk to this guy about?" And then he literally asked 3 questions, and then it was like 45 minutes later, and I was like, right, okay. So there you go.
is it? I mean, because it's going and getting a psych that actually fits as well. When you're trying to find the right fit and talk, it's hard to walk in and go. Is it hard for you guys being in the public eye so much, going forward and going? Oh, because they'd be like, oh, that's Nick and Tom, the Wolfe brothers, and he's having issues and seeing a psych. Was that something that was a barrier for you?
Not so much for me. I've been pretty open about it, and I think we need to be open about this stuff. Be very open. That's not so much of a barrier for me. I do have some barriers when it comes to the public. I don't really care what people think of me. I know what I'm about and what I stand for. But yeah, I would say no, that didn't bother me too much. I don't know if it would, Nick.
Not so much from a being known from the band sort of thing. But I mean, I've never seen a psychologist, whichever one of those is applicable. But I've never actually been, and I've often thought, man, probably wouldn't hurt to chat to someone about this sort of stuff. I tend to get like terribly in my own head, and it's been a weird year not playing and not being out on the road with the boys, and Tom and I live 3 hours apart, and for most of this year we couldn't even get together to see each other, So I think also not having that this year where we've been able to get on the road with the boys and just get in the car and head out to a gig and talk absolute nonsense and, have that outlet and chat to the boys sort of thing. Not having that, I've kind of gone a little bit inward probably, up here. So I really should probably talk to somebody in that space at some point,
I don't think, though, Nick, you're not the only one this year who'd be dealing with that. I think, everyone's been locked down. Their whole way of life's been changed. I think there'd be more people feeling that in the world right now than probably ever. I think you could say easily.
Oh yeah. I mean, our routine has been completely blown out of the water. Even though our usual routine is such a crazy one, in that our normal line of work is fly out Wednesday, Thursday or something, drive around, do some gigs, drink, have fun, get home Monday, wash the clothes and do it again. But there's a lot more to it than that. But that's the fun stuff. But,
just more drinking,
less washing your clothes.
But and not just that full change to like, okay, now I'm home and right. So this is what happens here. But I mean, that said, it's been in other ways quite a great year. With I've never spent so much time. This sounds a bit lame, but not alone. It's great to spend time with your wife, but I've literally never spent so much consecutive days with my wife. Because we've always been away playing, so that's been really nice. And I'm kind of a homebody as well, So
because it's a lack of. We did a survey with a bunch of high end shooters, combat vets who have been outside of the wire into it, and we said we put the survey out and we asked them, what is it that actually affects your mental health? Is it PTSD? We let them answer the question, and the 4 biggest ones they came back with was lack of tribe, lack of identity, lack of purpose, lack of routine. And that is exactly what the entire Western world, well, everyone in the world's facing right now that goes into lockdown. Yeah. You guys can't go, your routine's gone. You just said your tribe is
split apart.
Split.
That is,
and it's like
absolutely spot on.
Spot on. And I think for us, to a degree, like, and I know, especially for myself, playing live, I kind of have always looked at that as that's my biggest strength in the Wolfe Brothers. Like, I think Nick's probably a bit more studio songwriting orientated than I am. Playing live for me is where, and I'm the type of guy, if I do something, it's 100% or nothing. So when I play live, that's just how I am. And I've sort of haven't had that outlet this entire year, and it's been I won't lie, that's affects you.
I always thought, I'm sort of one of those people that sort of hates a lot of people, and and actually playing to crowds at times, I'm like, oh God, leave me alone. For God's sake. No, that sounds terrible, but but actually not having that at all has sort of made me see how much I actually do value. You can't just sort of be at home on your own for like 12 months, and it's just not good, I don't think, So We're very, very much looking forward to when things get a bit more back to normal, we can get out there and play to real people. Because, we've been doing the live streaming thing, but man, it's not, talking to a screen, it's better than nothing, but,
because you were saying that you had a post the other day. You were saying, you've got quite a few followers across your social media platforms, and you were saying, "Hey, Facebook, what's going on? I got 74,000 this and that," and it wasn't really going out to people either, as well, was it? Like,
yeah. I think that one was some sort of Facebook's rolling out how they do music videos differently now, but I don't think it's been sort of approved or worked out in Australia. So whilst we saw it our end and it was going to the States, no one in Australia, which the predominantly audience of our page is, hence why no one would see it. They just see a blank thing, which is really helpful when you're trying to release a music video. But but that said, it's always a bit of a challenge to get. It's surprisingly how hard it is to get things across to your actual audience numbers on social media. Like,
it's become harder and harder too. Like, even with the live streaming and so many people live streaming this year, it's now like you can actually see in the stats of how many people you're reaching. It's got less and less over the last 6 months. And even I've looked at some of the numbers that are watching. They're the same, but it's actually not reaching as many people. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing, because at the end of the day, they want money.
Yeah,
I mean, they want you to pay for it. They want your money. Like,
Facebook is an advertising company now, and now with everybody or every company trying to figure out how they get their brand message in front of people while everything's gone digital through COVID, it's every single company on the planet is now spending money with Google and Facebook to advertise. Absolutely. And they've only got so many slots in your news feed, and they take out shit that people want to see, and they'll put in shit that they want people to see. So
yeah. Oh, it's totally controlled. Totally controlled. I will say though, like, it works. Like, we used to sort of spend a lot on when you could do live shows. We'd sort of designate a bit of money for each gig, but it works. You know it works. So look, with it there is positives, but yeah, there's some serious negatives, especially when
I guess
It's not just
I guess
what you-
all I'm saying is I'm just sick of writing songs with people through a computer and like I just want to get back in rooms with people and jam it out and bloody talk to real people again. It's for someone who's not much of an outgoing person. I this year has made me kind of realize how important just is. Just literally talking to people.
Because you've got a pretty big audience base in America. What's the cut through being Australian country? What's the difference between Australian country? So a lot of the boys, especially the infantry boys, are starting to really pick up the country music stuff. It's going viral through the battalions at the moment as well. What's the difference between American country and Australian country?
I don't know if there's a huge difference. I mean, there's obvious differences. Like you've got guys like John Williamson and Lee Kernaghan who are literally singing like True Blue and She's My Ute, and it's like fair dinkum Australian emus rum. It's words that would not work to Americans. But I think the thing with country music is the storytelling, and I personally think that's why in the last few years country music's becoming so. It's like having this full resurgence in this new life, is because I think pop music's almost got to a point where it's like one word and then a beat and then a dance move. I mean, like, that doesn't nourish the soul. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I can swear on this, but
100% you can.
You listen, that's fucking terrible. 60 years, 40, 50 years ago, pop music was some of the greatest songwriters of our time. Now you got guys fucking hitting a few things on a laptop, Anyway, I won't start.
No, and I think they've got a lot to answer for, mate.
I think they do. And I think what's happened is country music's come along, guys like Luke Combs, and it's authentic. And it's guys who are, like Luke Combs is a great example the last few years, is big boy, big beard, wears fishing shirts on stage, and it's just completely blown up because it's real. People can look at him and hear him sing and go, I totally relate to what you're saying. You're not pretending. You're not trying to be something you're not. You're just writing good songs, singing them well. And it's like, that's always been the formula that works. But I think somewhere along the line, a lot of people forgot that. So to answer your question, the big difference, I think some of the storytelling, I know me and Nick have always made it our mission to be as not try and go like, this is my truck and I'm down in Mississippi. Like before, not just, which we would kind of consider selling out, but write songs that no matter whether you're in Australia or you're in America, you hear it, it's going to work. Yep. That's kind of what we've done.
Yeah, we've just tried to use language that's universal. Like we'd never, we're probably not going to write, the ballad of Kangaroo Jack or something. But we're not. We're also not going to, write a song called "Y'all Hop in the Truck." Let's drink some red solos. So, but at the end of the day, I think the core thing is though that it's a very honest sort of music, and the stories are great compared to a lot of the stuff that you hear probably on mainstream radio.
Because I was thinking about this the other day, right? When you talk about the storytelling piece, is you see people and they've got headphones in 24/7, and they're not fucking listening to John Hopkins' new research into whatever. They are listening to music, right? And everyone, maybe I'm showing my cards here, but everyone has a breakup track, maybe that they got songs that they like to put themselves into a hole with.
Nelly.
And I think,
country's your genre for that for sure.
Oh yeah,
but the language in some of the pop music these days, or the music is about, like if you listen to some of it, it is about victimhood and like they talk about I'm so heartbroken now that I'm not with this person, and people listen to it over and over again. A belief's a thought you keep thinking. You keep throwing this stuff in people's heads, they're going to believe it.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Well, music very much can control your emotions. I mean, you've only got to go to a gig to watch that. You play a ballad, and then all of a sudden you play something farts, and the room starts dancing and moving. Like, it very much controls how we think. And I think you're spot on. If you've had a bad breakup, and I know I've done it, I've just put on George Jones and sat down and drank heaps of whiskey, and that's not good. It's not a good thing, I think maybe you need to do that once. But, yeah, I think the music you listen to really can control how you feel. I've always said, Huey Lewis and the News, it's hip to be square. It's hip to be square. If you're depressed, put that song on and try not to smile. Hip to be... You're like, yeah, okay, today's not so bad.
Yeah.
No, let's do it. Sorry.
Is there stuff that you won't? So you're songwriting now. Is there stuff that you, and knowing that, is there stuff that you will not write about? Is there a no-go area for the Wolfe brothers to go like, you know what, we are not writing songs about X?
I don't know if we've ever really had a situation we said we're not going to write this. I think we've had. I think Nick may disagree, but I think there's definitely songs about our exes we've written, but I think we've sort of approached them. It's a bit subconscious. It's sort of coming through a bit. I know for me, I sort of draw on the best songs I write. I sort of have to draw on a bit of real life. I've got to put myself there. But I don't think there's stuff we wouldn't write about, or if there is, I can't think of a situation where we've gone, no, I'm not writing about that.
I guess, it's just probably the what matters to us is the integrity of it. I guess if we wouldn't read through the lyrics and at the end of the day go, yeah, we believe in that. That's sort of real,
Yeah.
That's kind of where we draw the line. Like if there's a song about Tom and I rocking up to a nightclub in a limousine Hummer, and getting out in a tuxedo,
not happening.
That's probably not what we'd be into. Let's say
it's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
No,
that's probably where I draw.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. As long as if it's real to us, that's sort of because we have recorded a couple of songs. Not a lot, but a couple of songs we haven't written. And one of them was called That Kind of Night. And I remember when we sort of first heard that and it was pitched to us, we went, well, you know what? That's something we feel like we would have written and we'd say. So that's why we recorded it. We're probably not going to cover Cardi B. Yeah. Anyway.
Where do you get you sit there, you're banging songs out. Is there a point where you like pick up a guitar and you're like, fuck, I don't know. Like, where do you get your inspiration? Or if you're having a dull or a lull, what is there stuff you do to reset? Like, who's that famous dude he was an author from Living in Las Vegas, was it? And he could only write good stuff.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson wrote at 2 a.m. when he was fucking sideways, mate.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
No, it is bloody actually really hard to consistently come up with just solid ideas. I mean, you can bang out any sort of song. You can bang out a song if you don't care in bloody 10 minutes, if you really don't care. But that's the problem. We do care. We want to make good music. We want to make songs we believe in, and those sort of core ideas that form the songs are much harder to come by, And we've sort of been doing a lot more writing this year because we haven't been out playing live, and it's been good. As I said, not really into the talking to the screens, but it's actually allowed us to write with a lot of the people we go and co-write in the States with. It's forced them online, so we haven't had to actually go over there. And I don't know how guys like that, like the Nashville songwriting sort of, format. There are blokes over there, men and women over there that literally their job is to go in. They have a write in the morning. They have another write in the afternoon. At the end of the day, they've probably written 2-3 songs with different people that come in an office. To think the pressure, I just couldn't imagine like how you would come up with stuff like, and they're writing the most amazing country songs, out there. So there's some very talented people, but it is bloody hard to sort of get things out of the well when it's a bit dry, and it's a bit dry at the moment. Actually, Tom and I we've had a few rides recently we've struggled on, but
the last couple of rides have been a bit. Oh, better get a cup of coffee. Walking out the room, making a cup of coffee.
Although that said,
think of something.
it's still worth showing up, because just recently we had a ride and it went. I think it was a record for us. It went for nearly 8 hours, and
all online for 8 hours.
Yeah, doing this for 8 hours.
That's what our meetings were like.
Yeah,
and you can't play in real time with each other. So in a normal ride, kind of you come in, have a chat. Hey, I got this idea. Oh yeah, like that. Let's start working it. And then something will click. Everyone gets excited. You jam it together. Oh, we all get excited, and the flow happens. Online, you can't do that. You can it's everyone in the safety of their own space. Just giving you nothing back. So like 8 hours of that. But that said, it took like 8 hours. But the guy who we're writing it with really likes the song. He's quite a well-known artist, and looks like he's going to cut it and make it a single for him. So, it's kind of worth showing up, even though it's can be pretty bloody uninspiring. At the time.
Are we looking at a creative drought in the next 12 months? Like country music, especially, like we said, storytelling is what half of it's all about, right? For the last 12 months, no one's got any stories to tell other than hanging out in the house. And it's like comedy. The first person gets out there and does a joke about Corona, then everyone else is fucked, because there's not a lot of jokes. Otherwise, you're just recycling content. So we're looking at the next 12 months, we've got nothing new coming out from anyone.
I don't know. I know for us personally, we've sort of been forced with the no touring to go, well, what can we do? We've actually recorded like 2 albums worth of material in the last sort of 6 months. So we're kind of toying with the idea of releasing, whether it be a double album of all these songs at once, or whether we release it as kind of I don't want to use the word concept album, but whether it's like 2 albums that sort of come together as one when they're all out, I don't know. But so for us creatively, it's been really good. I've actually enjoyed. I think sometimes when you're out of your comfort zone and a bit pushed, it can do good things. And I think it has been like that for us. We've kind of gone, well, we can't be in the studio together, so what can I do? Well, I can record bass tracks here, send them up to you, or, I can go to my cousin's house and do whatever. You just make it work. And that's kind of what we've done. And it's actually, we only just got a bunch of mixes sent to us just like last week, and I've been listening to them, and it's feeling great. So I think it will inspire a new set of stories. It'll be interesting to see what comes. I mean, Luke Combs again, 6 Feet Apart. That came out at the start of COVID. I mean, what a great song. Good tune. Creative dude. Yeah, good tune, and just being able to just release and throw that out there, like, man. So
when you think, like, particularly in country music, you just think, I sometimes think surely every hook, every cool catchphrase, every little, country type saying that could possibly be used in a song has been done now. And yet, year after year, like, people just find such clever ways of twisting, words into different, and saying things different ways. It's I'm always amazed. So I don't think there'll be a drought in songs. I think we're pretty right there. But maybe for us, we need to let the well fill up for a couple of weeks or something.
because they're at that point where is there? I had a mate who's a bit of I know nothing about it. I wouldn't know which way to hold a guitar, mate, to be honest. What do they they're going to run out of music, right? Eventually, there's only so many octaves.
like mathematically?
Yeah, mathematically.
So in Western music, there is 12 notes. Is that correct?
There's 12 notes.
Holy fuck, are we about to do actual maths on this podcast? Because someone needs to get a calculator.
Quick math.
Well, there's only 12 notes.
That's 12
in Western music. And like all of the music we've heard in the last 100 years has come from those 12 notes. So I think we'll be right.
It's pretty. It is pretty amazing when you think of how what varied and amazing music that's come out using those 12 notes over history, and that's still all I've got, and still daily people are creating probably I don't know. I wonder how many songs are written every day.
Go,
plenty.
Mate. Yeah.
But I mean, that's like saying there's 26 letters in the alphabet. We can't write any more books because we've used too many words already.
Yeah,
you just rearrange them. You just throw them back in the mixer and then spit out something new.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good analogy of it. And I mean, I think with music though, one thing always inspires the next thing. Like Little Richard and Chuck Berry inspired the Beatles, and then the Beatles inspired guys like the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac, and then they inspired these 80s bands, and then the hair metal bands came, and then,
Then grunge is a reaction to hair metal. And,
and then grunge came because there was all these guys wearing spandex and no shirts and bigger hair than their wives, then all of a sudden grunge happened, and so, I don't think we will. Have you
ever got into the studio and started jamming out a song and someone's like, hang on, Tom, you fucker, that's X song.
Yeah, often.
And you're like, fuck.
I've written a
Nick's
song.
Actually.
Yeah, so in Nashville a few years ago, had a co-write with two really good writers over there, and took in this idea and, it's really good. Started writing it, started jamming it, and then we've got about 3 hours in. And then just sort of out of the blue, out of the subconscious, I'm like, hang on. I think I better just YouTube something here, boys. And and we'd written a song that was like almost identical to the song. None of us owned the song. None of us actively listened to the song. We just heard it on the radio or in the shopping centres or whatever, and we'd pretty much not written it word for word, but it followed, the same structure, the same shape, probably the same bloody key and same tempo. And we're just like, well,
fuck. Yeah,
that's 3 hours wasted there. And it was actually a really good song. It was just too close. But it's amazing how it comes out. I've actually heard there's a Steve Vai, a really well-known guitarist, and he wrote, it's like an instrumental guitarist. He wrote I think he did a whole album or something, and played it to someone. And they're like, "Oh, this is a really good cover of like Andrew Lloyd Webber or something like that." And like, what? Yeah, like Andrew Lloyd Webber, like the cover you've done. No, this is mine.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, but it's just subconsciously wrote it.
Well, mate,
note for note,
to put your mind at ease, Max will probably shut me up at this, but the human brain is incapable of a completely unique idea, right? You can't sit there right now and go, come up with a new number. Your brain can't do it. Come up with a new colour.
Sure.
Your brain can't do it. So essentially everything we create is just a mashup of shit that we've absorbed at some stage. And proper artists like yourselves are the ones that can take all that shit in, mash it together and spit it out in a way that is good for the world.
Well, for our best.
Well, we try.
We're definitely
trying.
We definitely go into songwrites, and whether you might even actively say like, "Hey, let's try to get something like blah," and reference a song, or you just start picking at something, but you'll actually be sort of subconsciously putting out the vibe of another song,
Mm. But I loved that.
I know Paul Kelly, he'll even literally, he's like in his book, I think, said he'll just actually take, great songs and literally just use the words they've got and just replace them with different words, like the syllable structure of those words. And,
that's amazing.
If it works, the formula works, just change the words. You often change the tune and that, but like I guess it's a good, I might try that actually. Not too bad.
Yeah, I might do it too.
The last time, you guys have even started mashing genres together. I think that the last, correct me if I'm wrong, like my musical fucking knowledge is pretty minimal. But the last time we came to see you play was at what's that pub in Townsville called?
Dalrymple.
At the Dalrymple, and you're halfway through a song. I can't remember the name of it. It's the first time I'd heard it, and then it just jumped straight from country into like a bluesy kind of vibe. And I'm like, ooh, this is fucking a bit different. And I think that's gold. Like, we got a genre of music. There's X, Y, Z, however many genres there are, and they go, nah, fuck that. Let's just mash two together and see what comes out. I think that's the future.
Well, I think you're spot on. It's definitely the future. I think if we keep, putting everything into genres, it's probably we might even run out of songs. For us, I think early on in our career, we almost had to maybe the old guard in Australian country music. I don't want to say we had to prove ourselves that we were country music, but I kind of felt like we had to prove ourselves that we were country music. We put an album out, Country Heart, which won a heap of awards and was wonderful, and I think well and truly established that, and that was so amazing. And then I think since then, now I know me and Nick are both creatively gone, okay, well, we've proved that, we've done that, what can we do? And there's, as you say, there's bluesy feels. We're even putting our toe slightly into the pop world.
Yeah, what's that? No Breaks? Was that poppy?
Yeah, it was very poppy. And I will eat my hat and say, everyone was like, we've got to put this out. This is a smash. And like it went number one for 7 weeks on the country chart. Like actually the longest running number one single on the Australian country radio charts. I was like, this will end our career. I'm like, this is going to end our... I'm like, I was almost thinking, like, well, that's it. The Wolfe Brothers is done. Like, I'm thinking it's done.
But it is amazing how those thoughts snowball, though. Because, I mean, like, it was definitely, a bit more poppy than what we've messed with in the past. And, I guess, that's right. You sort of overthink your own brand and overthinking.
Because you guys are third generation musicians.
Yeah. Third or fourth.
Yeah, our great grandfather was a fiddle player, and then our grandfather Ernest Wolfe, he was a saxophone player mostly. Played a lot of different instruments. Had the Wolfe Family Orchestra, which would tour around Tassie, playing at different shindigs and in halls and the like back in the day. And then Dad was a drummer and here we are now. But and there's actually been people that have been like, we used to come and watch your grandfather back in the hall and your dad, and now watching us, which is pretty crazy.
So is genetic memory? So there's a big one that they talk about, and they talk about genetic memory, how like birds will know where water is, or an animal that will know how to do something that couldn't have possibly been taught by their parents. There's no way they know how to do it. And, this genetic memory where it's passed down, is it a thing, or is it because you just surrounded it, nurture nature thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, it's probably, I guess you probably think what's around you. I think, I mean, when I was, just old enough to walk, Mum tells a story that she heard this John Denver song being played from the piano, and come in, and I was just sitting there like playing the tune on the piano, and I don't think I could talk at that time, So
Mozart over
there. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make myself a fucking musical genius. I'm just saying.
But if the boot fits,
Mum played fucking John Denver in the car, and then I picked it up.
No, that is amazing. That is amazing. Mum and Dad used to always tell that, and it's incredible, really, that you could do that. But I think that's just, there must be something in the wiring of your brain, and whether that's come from Dad, sort of having an understanding of music, like being able to hear that tune, have no idea how to play a piano, but just kind of hear the notes and figure it out. That's really cool.
Is that called pitch perfect? I know I have a few mates that can pick up songs real easy. They can listen to a song and then just go to a piano and then find it, and then learn how to play it themselves.
Perfect pitch is, I think, a step sort of, kind of almost above that. So there's different levels, but like I can't do this, and very, very few people can do this. It's like if we said, okay, sing a C sharp, they'd just go, no, I bet that wasn't a C sharp. But
let me check. It was about a tone down.
So I had a lecturer at uni who could do that, and that's just, that is unbelievable, that sort of stuff. There's a kid on the internet, and his dad will play these huge jazz chord voicings, that don't even sound like to the sort of normal ear that we hear in the radio like it would be a chord. It just sounds like a mush of dissonant bloody notes. And he would go, oh, yeah, that's a C-sharp diminished bloody demented ninth, and it'd be totally right. And you can hear every single note in that cluster. So it's unreal, yeah. But no, not us. We're just bloody old raspberry farmers, guitars.
G, C, D, and E minor, mate. You'll be right. Don't worry about it.
So how do you go from farmers? Obviously, music's in the family, and then go. You know what? How do you deal with the anxiety of going? Fuck it, let's go and play in front of. I mean, you went back and did X Factor when you were already on the scene as well. How do you deal with the anxiety of? Are we going to fuck it? Is there things that you do before you go on stage, like? I'm going to drink fucking half a bottle of bourbon, or I'm going to I meditate out the back for 30 minutes, or
done all those things.
Done all of those.
You tried all those approaches, actually. Yeah.
At the same time.
But the best is just, Nick talked about before about having your tribe. I find the best is just sort of getting together with the band and the crew and just sort of spending 20 minutes before the show. Just, cheers, let's do this. Yeah, okay. We just have we have a one fireball shot before we go on, and we do a group huddle, and we just sort of, little. It's not a big football, it's just a little huddle, and it's just, no big prayers, nothing too, no big thing. Just, and it always makes us feel like good. We're a team. We got this, and I think we've always had that approach. We've been lucky to have that, and have the two of us to make a lot of these hard decisions, sort of know we've got each other's back. Like I do feel for solo artists. Like I think, some of the decisions we have to make in the music business, especially this year, with just watching our business literally disappear before our eyes. Like it's so tough. And I think if you're a solo artist and to do it at your own would be even worse. But that's a big thing for us. And I think we were very lucky. Like in the early days, Mum and Dad were incredibly supportive. I remember, believe it or not, I'm a qualified carpenter joiner, and literally the day I got my ticket, went home. I was qualified, and I was like, Dad, qualified. I think I'd like to quit now, and I'd like to just do music. Now, my mother's like in the kitchen, like biting a nail, like, oh, you can't quit your job, you can't quit, like she's just worrying. And I just remember Dad just really calmly just going, yep, because I think that part of your life's over now. You need to go and do this. Like. It was so supportive, but they also weren't show parents. We see the odd show parents at gigs and, parents of kids who are more like involved in the kid's career than the artist. Like, let them figure. You got to let them figure it out. Don't tell them who they got to be. Just let them work it out. And Dad was really good at that. He'd always support us. We pretty much, when we started playing as a band, we just went to the shed and got his band's PA, and we're like, cool, we're gonna use this, things like that. But he just let us be us and let us find our way, which is really cool, really, really cool. And we're just sort of very lucky to have the support. I think if we didn't have that amount of support, probably in them early days, we probably wouldn't have. I don't think we would have had the success we've had.
It gets back to what you said before about what was it? What you say? You think a thought enough, and you believe it. What exactly did you say?
What is it? A belief is a thought you keep thinking?
Yeah, and I think they were just so supportive our entire lives. And, I guess on one hand, you don't think you can ever actually do music as a career. It seems like a very, very out there sort of thing. But on the other hand, I kind of always thought we would. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
because
I'm the same.
Because they had instilled such a kind of support in us. I know it might sound a bit weird, but I almost kind of believe we would get to do it.
Well, I remember we went to a private school in primary school, and then Mum and Dad took us out of the private school and sent us to a public school in high school, purely on the base that had the best music department. that had the best music teachers and the best music. I can remember as Nick would go to school with mum and dad, dad's like, yeah, no, this is good. He's like, you'll do really well here. And they were right. We did really well. Like, so yeah, I totally agree. We've been very lucky. Like, I know I'm a very driven person. Like, if I'm going to do something, it's all in, nothing. Quite often I take on lots of things and I'm like in the deep end, you know. And then but I always find a way out, you know.
I'm very much a procrastinator. So I think the sum of our parts, you know, if it wasn't for Tom's sort of drive and, you know, outgoingness, you know, I don't think if Tom and I were just solo artists, I don't think maybe either of us would have got anywhere. You know, it's been a very good combination of personalities and kind of traits, I think, which has been good.
Yeah.
Mate, I reckon you're lucky you went to a bloody public school. Surely there's not a lot of country singers out there with good stories to sing about that come from fucking private schools.
I liked it. Went to public school and there's kids in my class rocking up stoned. I thought, this is pretty good, isn't it? Right?
Mate, if you had stayed at a private school, you probably would have joined the army as an officer.
So do you have to, is there, so you're like, righto, the psychology of forming a band, having a band, do you fall into role playing? So talk about like, okay, I'm going to be a dad. No one knows how to be a dad until they're a dad. And then they role play what they think a dad should do and be, right? From their experiences, stuff like that. Being a role, so you're a bass guitarist. Gene, are you like Gene Simmons, woman? Like you thought, that's the role I've got to play in the band. Was it a thing? Did you come into it did you have girlfriends leading into it? And has that
yeah, and then I didn't. And then, no, I did, and then it's interesting. I think the roles within bands, it kind of it'll naturally sort of find itself. Like I think, obviously, the Wolfe Brothers is me and Nick, but we've worked with Brody and Casey since school, you know. And I think they would agree, you know, probably from early on, we've probably definitely been the leaders. And sort of said, you know, well, we're writing this, we're singing this, we're doing this. But as for, you know, I wasn't total Gene Simmons. I had a few moments when I was single and, you know, I'll tell you what was interesting was Australia's Got Talent. No, I'll keep it all PG. No. But Australia's Got Talent was really interesting because I've always been a bigger guy and I was... I don't say I was picked on in school. I wasn't. I was a bit, and I guess my response to that was always being louder and being funny and being, you know, almost trying to be the centre of attention. But I remember, you know, I didn't have a lot of luck with chicks in my teen years, but then Australia's Got Talent come along, and it was like they were literally lining up at the front of the hotel. I was like, this is all right. This is pretty good. This. So, that was a mentally, I found that whole experience wonderful and it was great for our career and it kicked us off and it did open a lot of doors, but reality TV is not reality and it's not, it can be good, but I think mentally you need to prepare yourself for when it does sort of end and it's not a fun, I found it great, but I also found some of it a bit hard, if that makes sense at all, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. So
some of it was really good.
So I mean, has that had an effect? Is that something that knowing now that you could tell yourself and go like, "Oh, I fucked that up. Don't do that again." If you could tell yourself, like future Tom talking to old Tom, going like, "Bro, do not fucking do that because you're gonna fuck it."
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, well, that is actually, to be completely honest and frank, about 2014 was the first time I actually had to go and see a psychiatrist. Had got myself into such a bad mental state. Couldn't sleep. It was really bad. And that had all come from just terrible decisions and a really bad breakup, and which was my fault. You know, I was out trying to be Gene Simmons, and then I kind of realised that lifestyle's not really going to work for me. And then I ended up in a pretty bad place there for a while. But, going back, I'd be like, don't do that. Don't do any of that. Just keep it together. But look, I mean, that's life. Is also the other side of the coin is, I'm pretty happy with who I am and what I stand for and what I'm about at this point in my life. So I wouldn't have probably got here if I hadn't had all those experiences. I probably wouldn't have liked to have hurt the people I hurt back then on the way, but I do know it's all good now. So sometimes when you're in them dark places, it's hard to see a way out. But yeah, it does happen. It does happen,
Fuck, mate, I couldn't. To sit there, I wouldn't know how to do it. To go from that, and then because you guys go from that, you blow up on the stage, dealing with being famous. Without coining the word, and then you've just signed internationally with BMG. What, this year, wasn't it? You got your international signing?
Yeah, this year. This year we were meant to be in Canada and America and sort of beginning the world domination, but it didn't quite happen. But fame's an interesting thing. Like I don't really like fame. Like
I mean, we say that with a grain of salt. It's not like we walk down the street in a hassled or anything like that, but yeah. What I find,
my wife gets.
It's just weird how people approach you or something like.
They perceive you, approach you differently.
I don't know,
because they think you've had that success. I don't know. They make what they do. They make a lot of assumptions. That's what I don't like. They'll assume and I don't know whether maybe I've sort of put it back to maybe other people's insecurities and how they approach you. But I've been in a pub, literally minding my completely own business, standing there having a beer with a mate, and people have come up and fucking Wolfe Brothers, you been in a fucking good paddock, mate? What are you doing? And you're like, hello. But then they'll follow it up with, fucking love that Ain't That song. Fucking good song that.
I don't know what it is.
Are you insulting me?
We always sort of get that where they come and insult us and then follow it up with a nice
good
thing.
song that.
Bloody good one.
And I don't know whether it's.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's because we are very normal, down to earth guys, and that's kind of part of our music and part of who we are. I kind of think is that kind of why. But I've had people come up and be like, "Oh, well done on all your success. It's really good." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." They're like, "Me and my friends are over there. You buy us a round of drinks." I'm like, "Hey, sorry. Oh, we all doing all right? Buy us a drink." Fuck you. People. Yeah. So people are very strange.
Mate, that first one, that is 100% ego and insecurities. That is blokes standing around going, "I want to go and say good day," and then they have a conversation back and forth in there. But what if he says this? Therefore, I need to. Yeah. I'm going to knock him down a peg by being a fuckwit up front. And then you're like, what?
Exactly.
I wasn't involved in the first half of that conversation, mate. It was all in your head.
Yeah, you are 100% right. And it's most things that men do like that is their own insecurities. I've sort of learnt. I love people. I love watching people, and you can see it.
You can see those guys coming in the line, like at meet and greets and stuff after gigs. You can pick them a mile off and this guy is going to be an absolute fuckhead.
And you know what though? But it's funny. He's literally bought every bit of merch. He's got a poster. He wants you to sign. He'll be like, "Fucking sign that, will you, boys?"
Chuck a signature on that.
And then he'll sort of be leaving, and he'll be like, "Yeah, good fucking show tonight." And I'm like, what just happened?
So weird.
I don't know. You just, it's bizarre. Don't get me wrong, it's great, but I often wonder, for people with real fame, if they were meeting a Keith Urban, do they do that? Do they go up to a Keith
Aussie
Urban?
country fans, mate? Probably.
Probably. If they're our audience, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Do they meet big celebrities and be like, "Oh, fucking hated that fucking movie you're in." Yeah, good job. I don't know. It's bizarre. People are. I find that's the one thing I don't like about any sort of fame. I don't like. My wife gets stuck into me. She goes, "Oh, you don't post enough pictures of us," and I was like, "Well, I don't want to, because for me, I look at social media and that is just
a tool.
It's advertising, a tool to sell my music and my band and promote gigs. I don't really like putting that sort of stuff up. My wife's pregnant and we're going to have a baby in May. And I've already said, I said, I'm not going to be one of those guys who's posting 15 videos a day of my daughter running around. Like, it's not happening.
He says that now.
No. It's on the record now. It's on the record now. Let's see. But I don't want, I don't know. That's my family. And I'm not really into a lot of people seeing that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But does that make sense? Does that make sense? You know, like
I think
I don't know what,
because it's a social media is it's always the fluff what people put on. You're like, is it really that good, mate? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It never
It's
is.
never.
Never is.
It's
Because
never.
we've got. I mean,
man,
That's one thing I've found a bit challenging with the band. You know, you always have to put on a facade that everything's bigger and everything's always awesome, you know, like, and that's part of why people come up and do that sort of stuff, I think, too, because they, you know, the stuff you post on social media is you know, gigs, you post the best shot where it looks like everything's going off. You're not posting, you know, the ones where that didn't sell very well and you were fucking having sleepless nights over because, you know, you're not posting about that.
Australia in a whole has a bad tall poppy syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we found that touring America that it wasn't like that. Especially in Nashville, everyone wants you to do well and they want to be there to help you to do well. And it's interesting here, there is a tall poppy syndrome. It's like, again, I remember the Australia's Got Talent. And the reason I bring that up because it was such a quick, it wasn't like the last 6-7 years of work where we've done, it's sort of come gradually, but like Australia's Got Talent thing is like literally went from pub band to like, we thought, right, we're going to stop doing that. We're going to do ticketed shows. All these people would come to our gigs for years. Like, we want to see you boys do well. And I can remember a guy one night standing there with a Jim Beam can, a Bundy can, and unwrapping a brand new packet of cigarettes, having a go at me because he had to spend $25 to come watch us play for 2 hours. They're like, you're fucking expensive now. I'm like, mate, fuck you.
the pack of dabs is $50 in the end, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, so there's a bit of that, but I find that you're just going to get that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it our culture thing? It's definitely a bit of an Australian thing. And I even find myself sometimes seeing other people do well, and I have to actually remind myself, no, they're doing well because they've worked for it and they earned it and they've deserved it. You've got to.
I'm definitely guilty of that too. Yeah, you see.
Oh, Nick loves.
You see fellow artists, doing something, and it's just jealousy, and it's yeah.
And everyone who tells you they don't do it, that they do it. They all do it. But that is what it. I think I don't know if it's a culture thing or
I don't know. And even the public persona, like Philip Thompson, the federal member for Herbert, he's one of our patrons. And before he was a patron, he was a Afghan vet, got blown up. He's canoed people in the head. He's been a professional. He's done a couple of amateur MMA fights. He's literally broke his hands on people's faces and bodies in fights that I've watched.
Yeah.
And then people will come up to him in the street and start chest poking, like exactly that. They'll start chest poking him, and he's like,
yeah.
And he's just like, hi, mate. How are you?
And he's literally being attacked and being intimidated. And then if he did something, it'd be on the media. Philip Thompson assaults British. You're like,
no,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. And that's what I was really worried about in the last few months with COVID. Like, I was like, well, let's go and do some COVID-safe gigs. But I was like, imagine if there was a breakout, and then the headline would be national news: COVID breakout at Wolfe Brothers show. We'd be. Oh, there you go. There goes the career. It's been a great ride. So, yeah, that is one thing, honestly, that really I have real anxiety about is that sort of mindset within the media and the social media world in 2020. That's why I don't want to put a lot of stuff up, because I don't want something like that happening where you actually didn't even do anything, and then some fucking dickhead says something, and because it's on Facebook, it's real life, and then, yeah, it's a strange world we live in. Bring back the Nokia 3210 we'll be right, you know?
There's so much noise, isn't there? You know, like,
it's too much noise.
The first thing I do, it's probably the worst thing you can do when you just wake up, you know. You wake up, you grab your phone off the bedside table, you open Facebook, and usually it's like an ABC article or something that's on Facebook, and then I make the mistake of reading the comments, and they always post like an inflammatory question, you know. So then I read the comments, and then I get angry at people's opinions that don't, you know, conform with mine, and that's it. And then that's how I start my day. I really need to stop doing that. It's just so much crap on there, you know. Like, it's just.
Yeah, I don't like to give advice often, mate, but advice would be stop doing that. One of the questions that we normally ask people is what's your morning routine? If yours is I roll over and check Facebook, mate, then we don't want to put that on the podcast.
That's probably.
But what is your ideal way if you want to supercharge? Like, what's your ideal way to actually wake up? How do you start getting in the flow of it?
One thing I've been doing
I've got a few ideas.
I've actually been dabbling.
Depends on the other person's willing.
Sorry.
Okay. I've actually been dabbling a bit with some of this cold water stuff that you blokes have been talking about. Actually, haven't delved into the outdoor realms yet, but basically just flicking the old shower to flat out cold, which, you know, it seems like friggin' nothing, but it's a good little, you know, like, water's pretty fucking cold down here.
I was about to say, down
there.
So
fucking hell.
But, you know, that kind of gets you going. It's just a little, I suppose, just a little bloody challenge, you know, because it's pretty easy to not do it, you know, and so that's been kind of good. But pretty keen to check out some of the more. Might go and hop in the bloody gorge here in Launceston or something like that. And, there'd be some pretty freaking cold bits of water, I reckon, in Tassie we could find. So, yeah, keep you posted.
I haven't done it in the last few weeks because I've just moved into a new house, but on the farm down here. But I do really like, because I've got a young puppy, so he is like up, like whether you want him to be up. And now we're about to have a baby, so I'm never going to sleep in again. But I do like to get up, make a cup of coffee, and I've been just sort of walking around the farm while I have my first cup of coffee in the morning with him, and it's been awesome. Like, if you're up early enough, you see like all different types of birds. Like the other morning, I saw like pink galahs, rosellas, cockatoos. Now, if I'd said that to myself 4 years ago, I probably would have went, "What?" But I think I've got a bit older and a bit more of appreciation. I'd like that. Don't take the phone. Just sort of get up and do that, and then you sort of set for the day. It's a really nice sort of.
It's a form of meditation, isn't it? You don't have.
Yeah. It's nice, you know, really nice way. And you just sort of see nature doing its things, and the dog's usually chasing a wallaby, and like, you know, then you'll end up having to like try and catch a wallaby. But you know, I do like that. Does that make sense? Like,
mate, I 100% agree with you. Like, even, I mean, I'd love to live down there on the farm, but even in the city, there is something to getting up in the morning earlier than like. I've heard a bloke explain it like, I'm up before they turn the Matrix on. So like, you're in the city and there's just people and traffic everywhere, and then you get there at 4:30 in the morning and there's no one awake. There's nothing happening. Yeah, and there's something
a slight bit of calm.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what it must be. It's like the world is calm for a minute, and then 9 o'clock hits and it goes fucking mental again. Yeah, it does. I used to do quite a bit of concreting in my apprenticeship, and a little bit after, when I was doing a bit of subby work to keep the lights on. And you'd be getting to a job at 5 a.m, you know, and it was like that. You get there and the trucks weren't there yet, and you just sort of, sun's coming up, and same thing. Yeah. There's not much happening. And then, you know, then everything starts happening at 7 o'clock and it's chaos, you know. But there is something in that sort of get in, have a cup of coffee and see the sky. We're so lucky down here in Tassie, like the sunrises and the sunsets we get, you know, it's like just, you know, man, it's like
pink skies, red skies. It's just incredible. We're so lucky, and I think I consider myself so lucky to be down here on the farm. Like I'm just,
because you guys,
I mean, I feel like
because you guys
hit the
toured
jackpot,
for
man.
10 years, literally on the road, near on 10 years straight,
literally.
right?
Yeah. Literally. And when we weren't touring doing Wolfe Brothers shows, we were doing Lee shows. And then when we weren't doing that, we'd go to Nashville and write or record, and then we'd go to like, I think before COVID hit, I think I've worked out I'd only be home 6 days because we've been recording and away, and that's a lot. But I didn't probably realise how burnt out I probably was like, the actual forced stop has been good. I've got to say I sleep better. I used to sleep in, obviously, a lot, so I was obviously quite a night owl. You don't finish work till maybe some nights 11 o'clock. By the time you sign and pack up and get out of there, you're not in bed till 3. Like, come 10:30, 11 o'clock here, I'm on the couch. I'm becoming an old man. I don't know, it's not the design. I wanted to be the next Keith Richards. I'm not doing it that well right now, am I? So,
because you would go from, I remember we've seen you when you were on tour. You were in Townsville one night, and you're like, "No, we're back on the bus." And then we're in Mackay, and then we're in the next night.
Yeah, so you usually do start in Cairns and sort of come down. But mind you, I love that run. Like, especially coming from Tassie, you're driving down, it's this sugarcane. Actually, the last time we did it, we saw a cassowary on the side of the road walking out of the sugarcane. I was like, man, like it actually feels like another world, especially coming from Tassie. Like, and I do love that. And I have to, talking about phones, I have to remind myself sometimes to put the phone down in the van and actually look up. Sometimes we've been driving through some of the most amazing places. I remember we drove out to Marble Bar one night, driving through the middle of the desert on sunset, and then just off to the left's like a little scrub fire burning just in the middle of the desert. Like, we've seen some things. I just think, wow, you're driving out middle of Queensland and there's literally no cattle fences, so the cows are asleep on the road. And, that's what I love about our country music is we don't just do the Eastern Seaboard, which is so often people will just sort of do Sydney, Melbourne and, maybe surrounding suburbs. We get to go to, Birdsville is a great example. We flew out to the Big Red Bash out there, and something like 10, 11,000 people come from all around Australia to Birdsville, and they have a music festival on the edge of the Simpson Desert. That is just, they're moments I just sort of go, man, I really have to just get in the moment and just appreciate it because it's just so lucky to do it. So lucky to do what we do.
Mate, put that on the list, Max. We're going to the Birdsville concert next time it's on.
Just wrote it down.
It's so good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and it is so... And, makes it a great festival, I think, is they don't have a bar.
I'm not coming.
It's No, it gets better.
BYO.
No, it's good.
It's BYO.
I see.
But what it does is it makes people listen a bit more.
No
Because
phone reception.
instead of...
Oh,
no phone
perfect.
reception, so people just lock their phones away. If people have got kids, the kids just spend the day on the sand dunes, which is behind the stage, so you see the kids. So, the adults will come in, bring an esky, a few beers, a bottle of wine or whatever, but they'll sit their chairs up and they'll listen, and then when they want to dance, they'll get up and dance. There's no, running to the bar, and you know what it's like at gigs. You go to get a drink at the bar and you see someone you know, and you stand around and talk. You don't have that, and that's some of the best audiences we've played to. We did the first one, and then they enjoyed us so much we actually went straight back. They invited us back the next year. But then I think literally for the next 2 years after it, every gig we did, someone had a Big Red Bash shirt on. Oh, we saw you. We were there.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that was just the sort of it commanded such attention because there weren't phones and all this other stuff. It was way more, the level of just focus at that gig and just magical. It's amazing what those bloody phones have done to live entertainment,
But audience participation is something that gets you going, right?
Oh yeah, I thrive on it. That's sort of my how I get my dopamine levels. It really is the best feeling is when the band's cooking and when the crowd is just honking and just in your corner, that is the truly best feeling in the entire world, you know. And it's so funny how me and Nick are on stage, obviously being brothers, so similar but yet so different. If it's a rocking crowd, like even that Townsville gig, you know, you can feel the energy before you go on stage. We'll be walking out on stage, and Nick will be going like, right, just fucking keep it together. Just don't go. We have a thing called Rock Challenge Syndrome. There used to be a school competition down here called the Rock Challenge. And what it was, all the school bands would get up and play 2 songs. And what had ended up happening was because everyone got 2 songs and there was school kids, everyone would just get up there and play at like 11 and scream for 2 songs. So the code in our band is don't go full Rock Challenge Syndrome. Don't go Rock Challenge Syndrome. Just easy and yeah. But it's great. That's the best feeling in the world. When a crowd's singing your songs back is, man, that is the best thing ever.
Because you boys missed out on a golden. Was it you guys got nominated for the Golden Guitar last year? Didn't you?
Missed that one last year.
Yeah, year before we finally. Well, year before we won 4, but before that we lost 13 nominations. So it was a long time coming. But then we sort of it all happened that year, and we sort of cleaned up. But didn't manage to get one this year. We got nominated this January for No Breaks for Single of the Year, so that'll be cool to see how that goes. I'm not sure whether we go to Tamworth now with COVID because the festival's cancelled, but it'd be nice to go there if they're doing the awards and stuff. But
it'd be nice to do something.
So what's on the I mean, have you got any info on when live music's coming back online?
Yeah, like we've got some bookings next year. Some stuff in the early of the year, like we've got a couple of two Taz shows in January, one festival that's not announced, and we've got our first full band show just after Christmas down here. But it's sort of looking like full-scale touring again, almost going to be the back half of 2021. Which is it's still really another year away.
I think there was a bit of an
scared.
expectation.
Everyone's scared.
There's an expectation that New Year's Eve rolls around and like a switch flips, and now it's all okay. But it's not really going to work like that.
Mate, my expectation was 3 weeks ago. Uncle Don gets elected again in America, and he's like, and he already said he's like, as soon as I get elected again, this COVID shit's behind us because the world needs to open back up. And now, unfortunately, they fucked their election, and we're sitting in limbo. Who knows? If he ends up sorting his legal battle out, we might put it behind us. But it's like lemmings. Like as soon as one country says we're opening up, they're all going to open up. Same, or in Australia, one state goes, "Hey, we've had a gutful. Let's just go back to normal."
I mean, thankfully we're in bloody good. Like comparatively to a lot of places in the world, like we're in such a good spot with it. If anything, we've probably been. I mean, I'm not a bloody expert at all, but feels like a little bit of overcautious, which is probably good. But there's a few double standards that I think frustrate the music industry, and that there's sporting events with 40,000 people standing shoulder to shoulder, and yet in Tassie, we can't even have a dance floor and put on a little pub show. Don't really know how that makes sense. But
our first shows back due to COVID was an acoustic show in a bloody cathedral where they sat people and missed an aisle each seat. Like, now, don't get me wrong, it was actually really fun to do, but just to work again. But that same weekend, there's full contact sport happening. People are allowed to, sex workers are allowed to do their thing. But we can't have a dance floor. So
how do you be a sex worker from 2 meters apart? That'll be interesting.
Well, there's ways, mate. So look, there's a double standard things, but I get it. I also get it that unfortunately, it's all political because our premier down here was when he sort of just shut shop, and it was really popular, and then sort of that started to ease off. So now he's opening up things again. So. Yeah, man, I just hope I hope we get...
Because we're trying to get down to Tassie I should probably know this because I'm supposed to be organising all the events. Sorry, Sutter. We're trying to get down to Tassie with Gav Pearce, the local member. He's a Liberal member. He's an ex-veteran, and he's a fucking genuine dude. And he's like, come down and do some sort of business mentorship for diggers and veterans in the space. But it'd be good to catch up with you boys if you're down there. And
come down. I'll come down the farm and bloody put on a barbie, and we'll have a bit of a session. And
I mean, Tassie's obviously open. My oldies are going down there next month, I think.
Just opened up. I think we're open to every state. I could be wrong. I think we're open to maybe every state and territory now.
Yeah,
so
good.
Which is wonderful. Mind you, though, I did an interview yesterday for the promo for the new single, and they were like, "We're open. Tassie and WA are open." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's just a mere $3,800 a flight."
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, good." So so if we took the band and our sound guy and the crew over there,
that's the challenge. Yeah, we're technically open now, but the viability of doing shows to venues that aren't half the capacity that they would normally be. That's kind of where the challenge lies for us, and huge flight costs and things like that now. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a challenge ahead, but we'll be right.
You'll have to start charging 2 packs of durries per ticket, mate.
That's right.
Oh, that's wonderful. I got more. You just ask.
Mate, so when's the best time of year to come down? Because I know Gav, again, big shout out to Gav Pearce. He's a bit of a legend, but we've got to get down there to have a chat about some different veteran programs. I think there's already a couple of good veteran programs going on in Tassie. I don't remember the names. Keegan's got them. But, yeah, we've got to pick a time because Mex obviously hasn't locked in a date yet.
Well, if you boys being Queenslander, you like the heat. I wouldn't be coming in the winter.
Oh, mate, I'm half Swiss. I fucking love the cold. I live in Sydney now.
Oh, right. You might.
I got to live in the snow forever.
Thrive.
Tassie is on my board of places to move to in the next 5 years to live for good.
Well, I tell you, I reckon a lot of people are going to do that.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I think a lot of people are going to move here over the next few years, especially with what's happened with COVID. Like, I think we were sort of able to pretty much, apart from gigs and stuff, life was pretty normal. And then you saw what was going on in Victoria. Like, there's a global pandemic, but real estate in Tassie is still going up.
Yeah. Oh, mate, we were talking about this. We were in Byron Bay the other day. And
crazy.
Real estate in Byron Bay, people from Melbourne are buying it sight unseen because they're like, I've got to get the fuck out of this city because if this happens again, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's really common. And one of our mates he lives in the city. He's going regional. He's going right out regional. He's like, I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. I think a lot of people will. I think a lot of people will. So
to start with, people will move out into the country for a bit, and then they'll be like, "Fuck, there's no Uber Eats, there's no cabs out here." I'll do it for a year, and they'll be like, "Nah, I'm going back."
Me and my wife went to some friend's place for dinner the other night. We're just having some. Well, she was pregnant, so she wasn't drinking. I was having some drinks, and we were like, "Oh, we'll get some dinner." And we laughed. They're like, "Yeah, we'll just order it." And we live on the farm, so you can't get takeaway delivered here.
Yeah, shoot it.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, delivery." I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." I was really excited about it. I was like, "Yeah, let's call them. Let's get them in." So yeah, there you go. That's great. Great for a podcast, Tom. Well done.
No, mate. Hey, look, I just from seeing you guys, do you guys call it a green room? What's the room before you go? Do you have a term for it?
Yeah, it's a green room. The one you saw us in was more of a cubicle from memory,
jammed in like sardines.
Some of the cubicles / green rooms we've seen, like a venue will spend $1 million and do the entire venue, but
leave the
stage
green
behind the stage
like a glory hole.
Yeah, I didn't know who we were paying.
Oh god! Oh my god!
But lads, I just want to say, like, a big thanks for coming on, and for everyone else. I mean, most of the boys, like I said before, that are in the battalions and that they follow your stuff anyway. And what you see with the Wolfe brothers is honestly what you get. They are the most genuine, down to earth dudes, and you guys have jumped on board and backed Swiss A from the start, and just want to say thanks, and we appreciate you coming on. And
before you wrap up, can we do you want to make that official, boys? We'd love to have you on as actual Swiss A ambassadors if you can.
Absolutely,
love to, mate. Yeah, you guys.
As we've said to you guys, it's what you're doing is just it's so good, and it's so positive, and so much good stuff you're doing for the community. Like, yeah, we're 100% behind what you're doing. So we would love to be ambassadors. Yeah. I'd be sign me up.
Done.
Sign me up.
Absolutely, make it happen.
Done.
So
excellent.
That's fantastic. What have you got coming up? Some plugs we can drop for you.
Yeah, like, there is gigs happening. Like, if people want to check out the website, I think there is some stuff going up, as Tasmanians say, the mainland, is happening soon. But yeah, just the wolfbrothers.com. New singles out, which is kind of like an 80s retro banger, which features me and Nick in the film clip kind of as Mario and Luigi. So, I mean, that's worth a look in itself.
I'm really happy with that. Like, it hasn't got many views yet, but I thought it was a real masterpiece. But so if you want to, give us a watch on that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Mario Wolfe Brothers. It's really it's quite a concept.
Yeah.
And then what about the Friday night stuff? You're going to keep doing that? 'Cause that's been sick. Like watching live stuff on Facebook on Friday nights.
That's been we didn't expect to be doing that, but the sort of guest list we've managed to pull together has been awesome. We had Kevin Bloody Wilson on last week, and it was just off its head. Like he just destroyed us basically, which is great.
God, it got better. He sort of warmed up, and it just got better and better. And before we went on air, he's like, "Can I say what I want to say?" He said, "Do I not swear?" I was like, "Kev, you just say whatever you want to say, Kev." So that was really cool. Really, really cool.
I think even the guys doing shoeies and heaves in the background.
Yeah. The old CrossFit group round that night. So we might get them on for an end of year performance. So there we go there. But,
sure. Yeah.
It's been
I think we're gonna
look at
go up to
wrapping it up at the end at December 18 for the year, and then I think next year, hopefully when things get back together, we probably won't be able to do Friday nights anymore, so we might move it midweek, and we'd kind of like to get into the podcasting world a bit with it too, so maybe change the format slightly, and I've got to learn how to talk, so that'd be probably a good way to do it. So
I'm surprised you don't have a big horseshoe or dip in, mate.
Yeah, I got one out just before I jumped on, actually.
So next.
Yeah. No, I've still got it in. I was panicking because I'm like, this stuff makes me just haze. I'm like, I'm going to get on there. The camera's going to start rolling and I'll go quiet for fucking 90 minutes, mate.
Can I just say what is so bizarre? Like, I've smoked. So we lived in America. You'd think the guy who's smoked and been a smoker would be the one who'd get on the dip. But then, like, Nick's never smoked, actually hated the idea of even me smoking. And then one day, I just see him rocking out with a can of dip, just packing that, getting ready to pack that lip. I'm like,
that's good.
What are you doing?
It's good stuff.
I reckon we smuggled in, sorry to Australian Border Control, I reckon we smuggled in about 100 cans.
Allegedly.
Back in the 80s.
Nah. There is no proof.
More than 20 years ago.
Proof.
I'm onto the. It's not actually tobacco I've got at the moment. It's like a
nicotine.
Some
one.
sort of nicotine.
The
it's
pouches.
nicotine, but it's not tobacco. Yeah. So
that's. I had one in Thailand. These girls were rolling around with dip, and I thought as soon as I saw a chick with dip, I'm like, oh, I might be in love. But she gave me one, and it was all white. And she's like, just be careful, they're strong. And I'm like, righto, sweetheart. Put it in, passed out. Like, I didn't actually pass out, but I was starting to wobble, starting to go down. I'm like, what the fuck was that? It was just nicotine.
My CrossFit coach, I gave him a dip at a barbecue recently, and he had a nosebleed and passed out in the toilet. So so that was good.
Wonderful.
We've got a few of the boys over time. Me and Mex gave our last dip out in New Zealand to one kid that had never dipped, and he just like greened out underneath his hoochie. He was just gone down for the count.
Done.
It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone.
No, it's amazing how much it knocks people for a six too.
Yeah.
Just like that. insane nicotine.
It'll get you.
It's good.
It's a performance enhancer. I use it to increase my mental acuity. You know, that's what I. No worries. All right, cheers, lads, for coming on, and we'll stop the recording there. But it's been fucking amazing.
No worries, boys. Thanks, Steve. Bloody hope we I don't know if we gave any good, insightful content, but it was a lot of fun anyway.
I think it is, mate. I think people seeing you guys going through what you went through and the hurdles and the do's and don'ts, I think it's been a massive bonus for our audience, mate.
No worries,
thanks,
mate.
boys.
No,
I hope so. We're definitely not perfect, but we're human and we're just trying to do our best, and I think that's all you can do. So hopefully there was something in there that someone might go, oh yeah, I won't do that.
That was good.
Maybe.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, boys.
No worries.